Isn't this awesome? Crypto has these great returns of like 44% per annum to stake the AXX Axie Infinity token, or these 48% per annum to stake the Cake token. Or even here, look at this, Titano Finance, a bit more risky, but look at this, 102,000% per annum. Where does all this return come from? You are the return. This return comes from diluting the token base. More tokens are being printed, giving the illusion of a return. And so a lot of people are lured into this, right? They think, okay, I get 44% more tokens. If only the token holds up in value somewhat, I make a positive return. But that's a big if. And of course, here during a bear market, all the tokens are going down, and no matter what kind of an APR or APY you get, you are in the negatives. But that being said, this is not just a bear market thing. It's actually engineered in a way that you are going to lose money with this, even in bull markets. If no new people come in, so let's say the base of holders stays stable, then it's very likely that you're still going to lose money with this. This is in the end just a very fancy Ponzi scheme, and you are still dependent on people coming after you. And I will explain why. Why are these things set up in the first place? The reason why staking very often is set up is obviously to attract capital, but also to give an exit opportunity to insiders. So what you need to know is, when a project is being set up, say Axie Infinity, right, or any kind of DeFi project, very often the team itself has a lockup period. So the team or insiders or venture capitalists that fuel all of this, they can't sell directly after project launch. And the idea behind this is to avoid pump and dump schemes, right? Otherwise, let's say a VC could invest 100,000 in a project, the project launches, a lot of marketing is being done, and directly after launch, they simply sell everything, right? They make like a sure profit, and that would be the problem if there is no lockup period. Now, there are lockup periods, and very often these are public. You can see them in the documentation of a project, or you can go to mesari.io and see this in a nice graph. So let me show you this actually. So here for the Pancake Swap token, you can go to Profile, and then to Token Economics, and then to Supply Schedule. And here for the Cake token, we don't have any unlocks of any VCs or insiders, but if for a certain token you have this, and this chart is available, you will see like step functions over here, right? Where the supply suddenly shoots up. This is where the insiders get the ability to sell their tokens. So all these staking, or most of these staking opportunities are set up to attract capital to lock you into the token, so that then the insiders can sell for an elevated price. That's the whole idea. So it's not random, it's not pure random that the prices of these tokens are declining. They're declining because of two reasons. They're obviously declining because there's more tokens floating around, right? And when the number of, say, stable coins is stable and the number of tokens of this altcoin increases, then that ratio of altcoins floating around versus stable coins floating around in this capital pool, it gets worse. The price is going down. So that's obviously the first thing. When the base of tokens dilutes, then obviously you've got a problem with the price. But the second reason is very often that insiders, early investors, etc., sell while the staking is running. And so that's something you have to be really careful of. Whenever you stake something, look at potential unlocks, look at potential step functions where the supply is increasing so fast that it diminishes all of the APR that you're getting rewarded here. Now, how can we go around this potentially? Is there still a way to make money with all of this? First of all, it's important to understand that all of this is player versus player in the end, right? There is a certain amount of dollars, and there are some fancy tokenomics going around that shifts those dollars within different participants. and you need to make sure that you are on the winner side. So let's say when we've got staking programs going on, what you can do is when you've got a fixed lockup period, so for example here for the cake token, right, you can lock it up to 1 year. You could do some fancy blockchain analytics, for example with Dune analytics. That's D-U-N-E. So let me show you that over here. So it's dune.com. And here you've got various dashboards, and you can also create your own kind of queries. You can basically query the blockchain and find out what kind of transactions have happened in the past. It takes a bit of a learning curve. It's not super easy, but it can give you an edge in the market. If you can, for example, find out when was there a big inflow of cake tokens for this staking pool and for how long have they been locked up, you can then anticipate at what point in the future will there be a lot of supply overhang. And when you've got that, when you know, okay, this kind of cake tokens, they will unlock at this point in time, then you know at that point in time, it's likely that, that at least parts of those additional cake tokens are being sold off and the price will crash. So you could use this in two ways, right? You could either simply just stay away from this. You could stake the cake earlier than when all the other people do this. Or what you could also do is you could target this unlock period of all these stakings. You could say, okay, the unlock might happen. I'm now just taking a random time frame. I've actually looked at this, but that's for the premium members. You could figure out the time frame. Let's say it's in June of next year, and you could specifically short the cake token at the time. You could bet on falling prices. You could borrow the cake token and then buy this cake token back for a cheaper price after all of this cake has unlocked. So that's a way how to play this, but it's still player versus player, right? There's no new dollars coming in. So when the overall supply is expanding through all of this dilution, through all of this printing of new tokens, it's usually the person that sells first that's getting all the money. And then when that person has sold, then the price is very, very low. And all the other people basically lost their money, and they can try to sell, but they will in the end sell for less than whatever the APR has given them. Because everybody got the APR, all the wallet balances increase, and once they hit the liquidity pool, right, once they hit the actual exchange, that's then when the US dollar are actually getting pulled out. So the first person that pulls out the US dollar, they make the profit, and the other people that waited for too long, they are making the losses. So no new magic US dollars are being created here, right? This is a right of the central bank. They can create US dollars out of thin air, but no crypto project can. In crypto, it's still player versus player. And this is either through figuring out fancy techniques, or alternatively riding the boom and bust cycles, right? To kind of try to speculate on people coming after you in the grand scheme of things. Now, there is a way to still make money from this in a different, with a different spin, basically. And that's interest rate arbitrage. You're still taking money away from somebody else, but it's a bit different in this case because you're using borrowing for this, not by shorting the token, but by arbitraging. So let me show you how that works. So for example, here for the cake token, right, where we get these 48% per annum by locking this in for a year, you buy the cake token, you get these roughly 50% more after 1 year. Nice. Now the cake token is likely going to depreciate in that time frame, right? More tokens hitting the market, as we've discussed. What can you do though to still at least make parts of that income? You can borrow the cake token. So you're actually never exposed directly to the delta price swings of cake. What you do is you go to DeFi Llama, for example, you go to borrow aggregator and you say what you want to deposit. Okay, so let's say you're completely bearish on crypto altogether. You don't even want to hold Bitcoin or Ethereum or anything like this. You simply just want to hold stable coins. What you can do is you go here to DeFi Llama to the borrow aggregator and you enter all USD stablecoins as collateral. That's here this first input. And then you say what you want to borrow. So in this case, for this example with the cake token, right, where you can get these 48%, you want to borrow the cake token. And here you see now in DeFi Llama the delta, how much does it actually cost you net to borrow that token. So for example, if you deposit the DAI stablecoin and you borrow cake tokens against this, you will have a net borrow APY of 16%. The loan to value ratio here is 60%. So that means you deposit $100 worth of DAI, you can borrow $60 worth of cake tokens against this. Now there are other deposits where you get loan to value of 80%. That's a bit more capital efficient. So what you would do is you would deposit that stablecoin on a certain project. So for example, Venus. Venus is a pretty big decentralized borrowing and lending platform. You deposit the stablecoin, you borrow the cake against this. The stablecoin is your collateral. You pay those 16%, and then you deposit the borrowed cake token over here. Now, the locked-in cake is compounding faster than your borrowing is, right? Than the 16% that you have over here for borrowing the token. So the delta that you make out of this, so the 50% minus the 16.5, that's actually what you make per annum. Now, is this a good thing to do? Yes and no. You're still exposed to other risks. One risk, for example, is that the Venus decentralized platform might get some kind of hack, right? You might lose your collateral in the end. Another issue is that, say, a cake token goes very much up in price, you would have to add more collateral. You are canceling out the price movements, but still, even you're canceling out the price movements, when the cake token goes up, you also need your collateral to match this. Because say the cake price goes up, then your position here will go up in value, but since there's a canceling out, your debt will also go up in value. So there are ways to play this. Where does the money come here? Where does it come from here? It's also not magically created, right? The reason why this makes money is because you're basically taking advantage of people oversupplying cake here on the Venus platform. So the people that supply here this token on that platform, they maybe don't know about the locking up of the cake token for 1 year, that they can get more. Or maybe they don't want to lock it up for 1 year. So they just want to lock it up for a shorter period of time. That's why they supply the cake tokens. So these kinds of plays you can still do, and they are somewhat safe. You are exposed to, the regular platform risks, but that's, I think, the kind of smarter ways to go about things. Always be aware, whatever you do in crypto, it's pretty much most of the time player versus player. There are very few opportunities where you actually make money without directly taking it from others. So that's basically what I want to say, right? Don't be blinded by these APYs. More often than not, you are the return in all of this, and you have to go a little bit beyond what most people do. Don't just follow whatever project you see, but try to get an edge against the rest of the market, against most players, and figure out where actually the supply dynamics are, where actually people make money from this versus people lose money from this. If you cannot tell in any project how to lose money on this, then don't touch it. Because in order to make money from this, you need to know who is losing it, right? How are you taking money from the person that's losing it? If you can answer it and you actually do have an edge, then of course go ahead. But that's basically the whole game. DeFi in its current existence does not create US dollars out of thin air. Pretty much all of these APYs, etc., are just diluting the token base, and you have to know your way how to play this in the right way, that you're the first one that actually takes out all of that value. Hope that that video was useful. Feel free to give this a like and a subscribe. Any comment down below is, of course, as well appreciated. And if you also want to join the premium membership to see what kind of things I do, that's also down in the video description. So see you in the next video. Bye-bye.